It was supposed to be just another quiet evening in Istanbul. The kind of night where celebrities slip into the city unnoticed, hiding in plain sight under the soft glow of streetlights and the distant hum of the Bosphorus. But this night, the night that would soon make headlines across social media, began with something so disarmingly simple that no one expected it to become the storm it eventually did. Demet Özdemir walked in, without a single trace of makeup. No foundation. No mascara. No glossy lipstick. Just Demet, raw, natural, luminous in her own effortless way. When she entered the small private gathering organized by a close friend, there was a moment, a real, visible pause, where the room froze for a split second. People didn't know whether they should try to pretend everything was normal, or admire the unexpected boldness of one of Turkey's most glamorous stars showing up completely barefaced. Demet, however, didn't seem to care. Or at least, that's how she wanted it to look. Inside her mind, things were not nearly as calm. She had hesitated for nearly 20 minutes before stepping out of her car, staring at her reflection in the rearview mirror. She had been exhausted, emotionally drained, and for once, she just didn't have the energy to put on the perfect celebrity look. So she made a choice, a quiet rebellion, to be exactly who she was in that moment. Natural. Vulnerable. Unfiltered. But the one thing she didn't expect was him being there. Can Yaman? Yes, that can. The man whose name had been tied to hers for years, through rumors, unspoken stories, hidden glances, and a past that their fans still refused to let go. Their connection, whatever it truly was, always felt like a flame that never fully died out, flickering, fading, then suddenly burning again when no one saw it coming. And tonight, the fire would spark again. Ken wasn't supposed to be at the event, at least not according to what Demet had been told. So when she walked through those doors with her bare face glowing gently under the warm lights, she wasn't prepared to see him standing by the window, speaking quietly with two old friends. He turned toward her. Their eyes met. And that was the moment everything shifted. Not because she looked glamorous. Not because she had a stunning red carpet presence. But because she looked real. There was a rawness in her expression, a softness in her eyes that he hadn't seen in a long time, maybe ever. Without makeup, without the shield of celebrity perfection, Demet looked more like the woman he used to know. The one he could laugh with for hours. The one who didn't need glitter or glam to steal every bit of his attention. A small smile tugged at the corner of his lips. Not mocking. Not surprised. But relieved. And Demet felt that smile hit her with a force she didn't expect. It was the first silent gesture of the night, subtle, yet powerful, and she suddenly became aware of every heartbeat echoing in her chest. She took a breath, lifted her chin slightly, and entered the room as if she hadn't just been emotionally ambushed by the one man she was not prepared to face in such a vulnerable state. What she didn't know was that Ken had already made a decision. A spontaneous, unexpected one. Something that would change the entire energy of the night and would later become the viral moment fans couldn't stop talking about. But that part comes later. Tonight was only beginning. Demet tried to blend into the atmosphere, greeting familiar faces with a warm yet cautious smile. But the truth was simple, you can't blend in when everyone is secretly watching you. Especially when you're Demet Özdemir, especially when you arrive without makeup for the first time at a semi-public gathering. And especially when he is in the same room. She moved slowly through the small space, pretending not to feel every pair of eyes subtly narrowing in her direction. People whispered behind their drinks, exchanging looks that said, "Is that really her? Without makeup?" Some seemed shocked, others impressed, but most were simply curious, fascinated by the raw, untouched version of someone they were used to seeing as perfection incarnate. But Demet didn't care about any of them. Her attention kept drifting, even when she tried to stop it, back to Can. He hadn't approached her yet. Not a step. Not a word. But sometimes silence is louder than anything else. He just watched her quietly, studying every little detail with a gaze that felt almost too honest, too unguarded for two people who had spent years dancing around unresolved emotions. Every time their eyes met, even briefly, Demet felt something tighten in her chest. She hated that feeling. She missed that feeling. She feared that feeling. It was all of them at once. She took a glass of sparkling water, hoping the coldness would ground her. Instead, when she lifted her eyes and saw Ken still looking, not out of surprise, but out of something deeper, she felt her heartbeat stutter again. He looked at her as if she was carrying a secret she didn't know she had. After a few minutes, Demet stepped out to the balcony, needing fresh air. Istanbul was glowing beneath her, the Bosphorus lights shimmering like scattered stars. She wrapped her arms around herself, not because she was cold, but because for the first time that night, she felt exposed. Not physically. Emotionally. The sliding door opened behind her. She didn't turn, but she already knew who it was. His presence always carried a certain warmth, a quiet pressure in the air that made her hyper-aware of every breath. Ken stepped beside her, leaving just enough space to respect her boundaries but close enough to let her know he wasn't there by accident. For a moment, neither of them said anything. Then, his voice, deep, calm, unmistakably familiar, broke the silence. "Demet, you look different tonight." She tensed. Of course he noticed. He always noticed everything. "Different bad?" she asked softly, "or different good?" He let out a slow breath, eyes still fixed on the shimmering city. Different, real. That word hit her like a direct shot to the heart. Real. It was the one thing she felt she hadn't been in a while. She forced a small smile, trying to maintain the illusion of stability. It wasn't intentional. "I was just tired. Didn't feel like doing the whole celebrity mask tonight." He finally turned to look at her, fully, openly. "You don't need a mask," he said. "Not with me." Those 6 words cut deeper than he intended. They carried history. They carried memories. They carried everything they both pretended to have moved on from. Demet swallowed hard, eyes drifting away toward the city again. "Sometimes," she whispered, "the mask is easier." Ken shook his head slightly, his voice dropping lower. "Not when the truth is still there, Demet." Her pulse skipped. "The truth?" she repeated. He didn't answer. Not yet. Instead, he did something small, but powerful enough to shift the entire energy between them. He took off his jacket and gently placed it over her shoulders. That was the unexpected gesture that would later explode on social media, captured unintentionally by someone inside who saw them on the balcony. But in that moment, Demet didn't know anything about cameras, gossip pages, or viral photos. All she felt was the warmth of his jacket, and the quiet, undeniable honesty of someone who still cared. Deeply. She felt the weight of his jacket settle on her shoulders like a memory she wasn't ready to face. It was warm, familiar, almost painfully comforting, the kind of warmth that makes you question every wall you've built over the years. Demet kept her gaze on the city to avoid looking at him, but she could feel Ken watching her, quietly analyzing every breath she took. "Ken," she began slowly, her voice tight, "you didn't have to." "I wanted to," he interrupted, but his tone was gentle, not forceful. Those simple words stabbed at something inside her. She hated how they still affected her. She hated how her heart reacted before her mind could stop it. The night breeze brushed against her bare face, making her suddenly aware of how vulnerable she looked. No makeup to hide behind. No perfectly drawn lines to frame her expression. Just her, raw, tired, human. And yet, Ken didn't look at her like she was exposed. He looked at her like she was glowing. "You didn't expect me to be here, did you?" he asked quietly. Demet exhaled a shaky breath. "No. I didn't." "Would you have come if you knew?" She hesitated. A little too long. And her silence said everything. Ken nodded slowly, accepting the truth without pushing it. "Demet," he murmured, "I'm glad you came. Like this. As you are. She forced a small laugh. Barefaced and exhausted? He chuckled. Soft, real, the kind of laugh she hadn't heard from him in years. To me, he said, this is the most beautiful you've looked in a long time. Her heart flipped violently. She swallowed, gripping the balcony rail tighter. Don't say things like that, she whispered. Why? He asked gently. Because they're true? Or because you're afraid you'll believe them? She closed her eyes. He was doing it again, reading her too easily, reaching places she tried to keep locked. She hated that he could still disarm her with a single sentence. But what she hated more was how part of her wanted to hear what he would say next. She said, opening her eyes but not turning toward him, we're not, whatever we used to be. We could talk about that, he replied, taking a small step closer. If you let me. She stiffened. This isn't the place. Maybe not, he admitted, but it's the truth. Demet finally looked at him, really looked. And in that moment, she saw something she wasn't expecting. Regret. Not dramatic, not exaggerated. Just quiet, sincere regret. The kind that comes from someone who had replayed certain moments 100 times in their mind. And then, his eyes softened even more. Demet, he said slowly, you came here without makeup, without anything to hide behind, and seeing you like this reminded me of the woman I fell. He stopped himself abruptly. Her breath caught. Silence. Thick. Charged. Dangerous. He looked away for a moment, as if he'd said too much, exposed too much. Then he swallowed and tried to correct his path. I mean, the woman I cared about. The one I respected. The one I trusted with parts of me I don't share with anyone. Her chest tightened painfully. She wanted to respond, to say something, anything, but the words jammed in her throat. Because deep down, she knew the truth, she had missed that version of him too. But before she could speak, the sliding door opened again. Two friends stepped out, laughing loudly before suddenly freezing when they saw Demet and Ken standing close, far too close, on the balcony. Their expressions shifted instantly. A look of recognition. Then a spark of suspicion. Then the unmistakable excitement people get when they realize they've just witnessed something they shouldn't have. Demet instinctively stepped back. Ken noticed, but his eyes stayed locked on hers. We should go inside, she whispered. We don't have to, he replied softly. But we should, she insisted. He exhaled, then nodded reluctantly. All right. They turned toward the door, completely unaware that one of the friends had already lifted a phone. A single photo. One moment. One angle. And that image, Demet wearing his jacket, standing inches from him, looking vulnerable and emotional, would soon explode online. But Demet didn't know that yet. All she knew was that her night was changing faster than she could control. The moment Demet stepped back inside, she felt it. A shift. A pulse in the room. Whispers floating just beneath the music. Eyes darting toward her, then toward Ken, then back to each other. It was subtle, but unmistakable. She wasn't imagining it. People had seen something. And worst of all, they were already talking. As she walked past a small group near the bar, a girl nudged her friend lightly and whispered, "Is that his jacket?" Her friend's eyes widened, but she quickly pretended to sip her drink. Demet's stomach twisted. Only a few minutes ago, she had stood outside in a moment she thought was private, vulnerable, trying to steady herself in front of someone who knew her too well. Now, it felt like every tiny detail of that moment was being dissected by strangers. Ken was a step behind her, close enough to create tension but far enough to avoid confirming anything. He sensed it too. The rising buzz, the glances, the electricity of speculation filling the room like static. Demet reached for her phone, mostly to ground herself, but the screen lit up before she even touched it. 12 unread messages. Her heart dropped. She opened the first one. A screenshot. Of her. Of Can. On the balcony. His jacket on her shoulders. Their faces too close. The moment too intimate. And below the photo, the caption that detonated the internet, "Are they back together?" Eyes fire, she froze. Another message came in. Then another. And another. Notifications stacked faster than she could dismiss them. OMG, is this real? Demet, what is this? Tell me this is not what it looks like. The chemistry is crazy, explained PLSSS. She felt her chest tighten. The room felt smaller. Louder. Brighter. Claustrophobic. She lowered the phone slowly, fighting the urge to panic. Somewhere behind her, someone said a little too loudly, "Look, they're not even trying to deny it." Demet's cheeks burned. She turned, and there he was. Ken standing still. Watching her. Worry flickering in his eyes. He stepped closer. "Demet, what happened?" She hesitated, then showed him the screen. The moment he saw the photo, something in his expression darkened. Not anger. Not annoyance. Something deeper, something protective. "Someone took this?" he asked quietly. She nodded. "From inside. We didn't see them." Ken exhaled slowly, jaw tightening as if he was holding back a stronger reaction. "This wasn't supposed to happen tonight," Demet whispered, her voice shaking slightly. "I didn't come here to," she stopped, unable to finish. He finished for her. To be exposed? Her breath caught. Because yes, that was exactly it. He took one more step, close enough that no one else could hear him. "Listen to me," he said softly. "You did nothing wrong. You showed up as yourself. And if anyone has a problem with that, it's theirs, not yours." His voice was calm, steady, grounding, and yet, she felt anything but steady. Because this wasn't just about a photo. It was about everything they had avoided talking about for years suddenly rising to the surface again. Demet swallowed hard. "We should leave. Before this gets worse." Ken nodded slowly. "Okay. But we leave together." That sentence hit her with unexpected force. Together. She didn't know if she was ready for what that meant. She didn't know if she could trust the path that single word implied. But as more phones started to rise discreetly in the crowd, more eyes turning toward them with hungry curiosity, she realized they had no choice. Ken gently placed a guiding hand on her back, not possessive, not claiming, just steady, warm, reassuring. "Come on," he murmured. "Let's go." And as they moved toward the exit, one thought echoed in Demet's mind. This night was no longer just a night. It was the beginning of a storm. The cool night air hit Demet's skin the moment they stepped outside. It felt almost shocking, a sudden contrast to the suffocating tension inside the room. She pulled Ken's jacket tighter around her shoulders, not because she was cold, but because she needed something to hold on to. Something steady. Something familiar. They walked toward the parking area in silence for a few seconds. A silence that wasn't empty, but heavy with everything unsaid between them. Finally, Demet stopped. "Ken, we can't just leave like this." Everyone inside saw. And now it's on the internet. If we disappear together, they'll make it worse. He turned toward her, his expression calm but serious. "Demet, they already made it worse. What matters now is what you need. Not them." She shook her head slightly, frustrated by how gently he was handling everything. Frustrated because it reminded her of the version of him she used to trust the most. "I didn't want this attention," she whispered. "Not like this. Not tonight." "I know," he said softly. "I didn't want it either." For a moment, they simply looked at each other, two people with a complicated history, standing under a quiet Istanbul sky while the world online burned with speculation. Demet searched his face, trying to find the right words. "Can, that moment on the balcony, it was real. Too real. And now everyone thinks it means something. He stepped closer, not pushing, just present. What does it mean to you? He asked. Her breath shook. She looked down at the ground, unable to hold his gaze. I don't know, she admitted. I don't know anymore. I'm tired. I'm tired of pretending things don't affect me. Then stop pretending, he whispered. Demet felt her throat tighten. You say that like it's easy. It's not, he answered. But it's honest. She inhaled deeply, trying to steady her emotions. You said something earlier, she said quietly. On the balcony. You almost said you fell, Can's jaw tensed. He looked away for a moment, then back into her eyes. I meant what I said, he admitted. All of it. Her stomach flipped. But Can, she began carefully, we can't go back to what we were. We can't handle that attention again. You know that. He nodded slowly. Maybe we can't go back. But maybe it's not about going back. Maybe it's about being honest with where we are now. She stared at him, into him, searching for something she wasn't sure she wanted to find. And then he did something he hadn't done all night. He took a step closer. Close enough that she could feel his breath. Close enough that the world around them blurred into nothing. Demet, he said, voice low, you walked in tonight without makeup. No walls. No armor. And you were breathtaking. Her heart pounded. Hard. He continued. That photo? He shrugged slightly. Let them talk. Let them guess. They always will. But what happened on that balcony wasn't for them. It was for us. And I'm not going to pretend it didn't happen. She felt something inside her break, not in a painful way, but in a freeing one. The wall she'd been holding up for years, cracked. Slowly. Quietly. Beautifully. The street was still, the night soft around them. For a moment, it felt like they were the only two people in the city. Can? She whispered, voice trembling. He didn't touch her. He didn't rush her. He simply waited, patient, calm, steady, letting her decide what the next moment would be. And that was exactly what she needed. She took a soft breath, lifted her eyes, and finally met his without fear. Maybe, she said gently, for the first time in a long time, we should stop running. A slow, emotionally charged smile appeared on his face. The kind that held relief, hope, and something deeper he hadn't dared to show in years. He nodded once. Then we don't run. The world was still spinning online. The photo was already on every gossip page. Hashtags were exploding by the second. But none of it mattered. Because in that quiet moment, under the Istanbul night, with nothing between them but honesty, Demet finally understood why she had walked in without makeup. It wasn't fatigue. It wasn't rebellion. It wasn't carelessness. It was because some nights, to become a goddess, you first have to show the world, and yourself, your bare face. And the unexpected gesture that started it all, was only the beginning.